still find it odd that this preeminently boy writer should so completely understand what it felt like to be a 16-year-old schoolgirl who was on the one hand very bright, but on the other very ignorant about the world. But, miraculously, he did. He even seemed to understand my parents, which is more than I could ever say myself. Luckily, I had the nous to put a clause in the contract saying I was allowed to see and comment on, but not alter, any script Nick Hornby wrote. This was an education in itself. As the years and drafts went on, I think there were 8 in all, I learned a great deal about the art of screenwriting from watching Nick's scripts evolve. The first draft stuck very closely to my story, which cruelly exposed the fact that it had no proper ending. It reached a dramatic climax and then dwindled away. Over the next few drafts, he battled to create a good ending, and eventually did. He also fleshed out characters who had been no more than names before, and created whole scenes that were not in my story at all. The girl who used to be me became a cellist in the school orchestra, and bought a Burne-Jones at auction, and went to Walthamstow dog track, none of which I did, while her parents slowly mutated from infuriating dinosaurs into perfectly reasonable human beings. By draft 8, I found myself actually weeping with sympathy for my father, a weird and possibly even therapeutic moment in my life. The only bad thing Nick did was to change Simon's name to David, which was my husband's name. I have changed it back to Simon, though that was not his real name either, in this book. Years passed. Draft screenplays came and went. Possible backers came and went. I would have given up by year 2, but Nick and Amanda and their partner Finola Dwyer persisted, and eventually, last year, the film went into production. Amanda invited me to watch some of the filming, and then the first screening of the rough cut. I loved it, and started talking proudly about my film. But I was completely thrown when people kept asking me, "How does it feel to see your 16-year-old self on screen?" Is there any polite answer to that? I mean, how daft would you have to be to believe that an actress, albeit an exceptionally good one, Carey Mulligan, was your 16-year-old self? But it set me thinking about memory, which has never been my strong point, and trying to remember as much as I could before it vanishes forever. I am of an age, 65, where most people start worrying about Alzheimer's and panicking if they forget a name. But I won't even notice when I get Alzheimer's because I've had such a flaky memory all my life. I can do short-term memorizing. I can bone up for an exam or, nowadays, an interview by reading up the subject the day before and retaining it for precisely 24 hours, but then, boof, it's gone. That's why it's terribly embarrassing bumping into someone I've interviewed. They expect me to remember all this stuff about their lives, but of course I had to erase it to make room for the next interviewee. Nowadays I can't even always remember whether I've interviewed someone, or, come to that, slept with someone. I'm always a bit embarrassed meeting men who say they were my contemporaries at Oxford. Do we ever hit the sack, I wonder? There are whole subjects I used to know that I have since forgotten. I have a certificate that says I can do shorthand at 100 words per minute. How did I acquire that? Did I bribe the examiner? I got top marks in A-level Latin, A-Hugh Fugaces. I can't translate a line of Horace now. In my brief, improbable career as a sex expert, I wrote a manual called How to Improve Your Man in Bed that was accepted at the time as an authoritative guide. How did I have the chutzpah to do it? I also spent 5 years researching and writing a book, The Heyday of Natural History, which involved reading all the popular natural history books of the Victorian era. Gone. All gone. I seem to have an auto-erase button in my brain that says that once I have done a subject, I no longer need retain it. This is fine for my job, journalism, but not so good for real life. It hurts my friends' feelings that I don't remember conversations we had just weeks ago. "But I told you, Lynn," is a frequent cry. I know, I say quickly, but it was so interesting, I wanted you to tell me again. I have certain strategies for remembering. I have kept a daily diary ever since I was 30, and patchily before that, so I can always look things up. Last year, my elder daughter, pregnant for the first time, asked how long I was in labour before she was born. I had no idea, but found my 1975 diary, looked up 3rd of May, and found